focus on the consumers. That is what the investors want. Well, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. We have another major announcement conversation in the Bank of America Wizards of the Coast fireside chat saga that just doesn't seem to ever end. It seems like we're gonna roll through this, even though Phyrexia All Will Be One was a great success and a lot of people were out at the stores hanging out and playing the game. It seems that Bank of America has just come out today with another wild conversation point for Hasbro. So let's get into it. Basically, Bank of America devaluation part 2. They just basically came out and said they have a new price target for Hasbro stock at $42, which is 29% less than the current price at $59. So another devaluation, another very, very negative article from Bank of America. And I want to be clear, this is important to Hasbro. We know this. We know that Bank of America's opinion of Hasbro is important to Hasbro and to Chris Cox and to all the people up in the ivory, the big wigs. It's important to them. We know this because they had the fireside chat as a response to this. They even kind of, not really directly, but they kind of alluded to some of the things that Bank of America said in the original article. So we know that that these articles, this Bank of America evaluation and those conversations, that kind of triggers and sets up something from Wizards of the Coast or from Hasbro. So for them to respond to it last time was massive, and now another one, it kind of begs the question, like, what's gonna happen next? But apparently Bank of America was not impressed with the fireside chat, as you and I were definitely not impressed by the Wikipedia reading. But they said this, that they have continued to destroy goodwill by over monetizing Hasbro's brands. And then they got into, in this article, the D&D stuff, the Dungeons & Dragons open game license stuff that we talked about a little bit on the podcast and a little bit on the channel. And they say this, that because of the D&D stuff, because of the way that Hasbro handled the Dungeons & Dragons open game license fiasco, they believe that they say that they are willing, that Hasbro is willing to risk customer loyalty for short-term profit. And that's kind of what they cite when they say that they're gonna devalue this to the $42 or down 29%. So I want to have a conversation because we've talked about the fireside chat. We did the live stream where we were like live reacting to it. That was a lot of fun. And we've talked about it on the podcast. We've talked about it a lot of times. But now I want to say, what does Chris Cox and Hasbro do from here? If it was important to them last time, then I assume it's a fair assumption that it is also important to them this time. So what can they do differently this time than they did last time? Last time they Wikipedia'd to the stock owners, right? They kind of gave this blanket conversation about what Magic the Gathering is, what Dungeons & Dragons is, and they kind of tried to, excite the stockholders based on that. This time though, I think what the stockholders are saying is that they want them to talk to the players. And, when they came out with this fireside chat, we all knew that it wasn't gonna be for you and for me. We all knew that it wasn't for us. We all knew that it was for the expensive, the people who have lots of stock and the people who organize all that for other people and all that stuff. We knew it wasn't for us. But I think this time, Hasbro Wizards of the Coast should come out and speak directly to the customers, because I believe that is what the stockholders, that is what Bank of America is saying that they want. They want to see that Wizards understands their consumers. And so this is what I would do if I was Chris Cox. I would do another fireside chat. This time I would actually have a fireplace and I would do it like a live stream, because they have amazing resources at Wizards of the Coast. Their videography team, we've seen them do this stuff before, where they do really amazing productions that feel like, almost like an Apple announcement, right? Where, from Apple announces their new computer, their new iPhone, and they have this whole layout and it's a whole, program, and it's awesome. We've seen things like that from Wizards before, to celebrate things or to launch products or the end of the year. So I would love for them to do something like that, but like a real fireplace in the background. And then I think number one for that, they should actually utilize the employees at Wizards of the Coast who just love the game. Because if anything positive came out of the last year of Magic the Gathering and Magic 30, one of the dialogues that has come out on social media everywhere is a conversation of, it's not the people at Wizards' fault. It's not the people who are creating the game, it's not their fault that things are going wrong on the back end. It's the bigwigs at Hasbro that are milking the cow and that are really, really pumping things and whatever. And so I would love to hear from the employees at Wizards who love the game of Magic the Gathering, who live, breathe, eat Magic the Gathering, and who really enjoy it. I would love to hear from them what they're excited about. I would love to hear from them, what are the things, honestly, that they are excited about in the game? What are they working on? What are they moving forward to? Give us as players, as collectors, as investors, give us something to give us the heart behind the product. Because I think that was what was missing in the fireside chat, was the heart. They didn't capture the spirit of the gathering or the spirit of Magic the Gathering. They were missing the heart. So I would love to hear from those who work on the projects and who are excited about future products and that kind of stuff. Number two, I would love for them to give players and collectors an inside look at the history of Magic the Gathering. One of the things that I feel like was a huge miss for Magic 30th is that they didn't really get into the history of the game. They didn't do like I know they did some promos that kind of went back and forth, and that was really great. That was awesome. But from a production standpoint, from an organizational storyline standpoint, they didn't really get into, maybe they did some of that at like the Magic 30 celebration, but from an online perspective and their marketing and things like this with the Bank of America, fireside chat, that kind of stuff, I would love to hear more about the history of Magic the Gathering, where it's been, so we can talk about where it's going in the future. I would love to see that Hasbro respects the 30-year history of Magic the Gathering enough to highlight it and use it to move forward. And then lastly, the last thing I would love to hear in this other fireside chat where we're talking with people who love Magic the Gathering, we're talking about the history of Magic the Gathering, the last thing I would love to hear is a commitment to figuring out the balance between player and collector. And in the fireside chat, they kind of doubled down a little bit on print runs and doubled down a little bit on the player. And that's fine. And if that's their direction, that's fine. But I firmly believe that in a trading card game, you have an ecosystem between players and collectors. And I think part of this article was talking about overproduction of product and oversaturation of the market. And that's one of the main concerns of Bank of America. And so to hear from Hasbro that they are going to give the green light on allowing Wizards of the Coast to hone in some of these amazing products that they have out to better suit both the player and the collector. And I think personally, the way that I would suggest that you go down that road, something as simple as keeping set boxes and draft boxes heavily stocked so that those are always available for collectors, but then greatly reducing the number of collector boxes that stores get, greatly reducing the number of collector boxes in the market, not putting them out on Amazon, allowing that box to be a real hard thing to get. I'm talking like stores who, right now as a store, I probably could have gotten 200 of the Phyrexia Will Be One collector boxes if I wanted to. I want to see a harder allocation on that, where it's a desirable product that we're starting to see in sports cards, that we're starting to see in other games and that kind of thing, where it's a difficult to acquire thing that allows collectors to have something to chase and fun to pull that's not just oversaturated and not very high quality. So I would love those three things to be addressed, but I'm also very curious, what would you like to be addressed? How would you, if you were Chris Cox and you were reading this Bank of America article, how would you handle this? What would you do moving forward if you could talk to your consumers and energize the community a little bit based on kind of this constant flow of, what do they say? Risking the customer loyalty for short-term profit. Personally, leave that in the comment section. Personally, I believe that if you focus on the customer, you are doing what the investors actually want you to do. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Really crazy to see another Bank of America. They're like doubling down on this. It's crazy. But hopefully you're having yourself a fantastic day. Remember to be kind to the people around you. It's not just about collecting and not just about the stock price, but it's actually gathering. We're supposed to be around people and making each other's lives better. So today, if you go to your LGS, you're playing some Commander, remember to be kind to the people you're playing with, try to make their day a little bit better. Other than that, we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching the channel and being around. We'll see you again. Be kind to the people around you.